What's up, guys?
Welcome, everyone, to another broadcast of Alchemy 101 on the Artist First Radio Network. Acknowledge your lead and turn it into gold. Ladies and gentlemen, here is your host, Halo Marquis.
Hey, how you guys doing? So first of all, thank you everyone that showed up. Thanks for spending the night with me. My name is Halo Marquis, I guess creator of Alchemy 101. Tonight we're going to get into a couple different things just about, who we are as people, what that really means to be human. We'll get into a couple different things. And please, guys, how you guys doing? Jay, what's up? I see you. I'll try my best to make sure I stay with the comments tonight. And I'm really excited. We'll have some video stuff for you guys. I'm hoping by next week as well. So let's see. To get into it, as human beings, right? That's what we are. And if you think about that from what we talked about last week about how our words are just not really interpreted the way that they're always meant to be interpreted. So when we're being called human beings, we are being human. It's not necessarily who we are. It's what we're doing in this time, in this moment, in this act. This is where we are. Now, it doesn't necessarily mean that this isn't real or it's less than anything. And any of the things we talk about, I need everyone to know is, I'm not a doctor, I'm anything like that. These are experiences that I've had and that multiple people have had, that I've had the pleasure of being able to talk with them and share these type of experiences. It's been phenomenal. So what I mean by that, I'll post some videos also. And if you guys have a chance, if you're listening anywhere else in the world, you can't see the video links, just look these up. KRS-One, right? A lot of people know him as a hip hop artist, and this was a video of his that I saw not too long ago. And basically, what he was talking about was us as our consciousness, right? Because that's what we really are, right? By standard definition, we're the upright, walking, non-hairy ones. Most of us, if we're lucky, but it does happen. But that's the generalization. But really, it comes down to the 5 fingers on each hand, the 10 toes, the having your senses, your sight, your sound, your taste. You go through 5 to 6 different senses depending on who you talk with, and some people probably even feel that they have more than that, and I'm certain that they do. We all have different things that we're with. But just think about that for a second, guys. With the idea that we have these, at bare 5 to 6 senses, if we lose any of those, does it ever make us less human? Okay, and this is what I mean. If you're born deaf and you can't hear anything, you do not have that sense. Does that lack of a sense make you not a human being? No, of course, you're still a human being. If you're born blind and you don't have that sense, are you still considered to be? Of course. So it's not a sum of your senses. That's just part of what we get to experience in this base reality. This is what we have now. But if you don't have these senses, it doesn't make you less of a human being. So that can't be part of the definition, right? So is it something that's determined by your age, right? And your age, to me, this is another very interesting thing, is it based on, from the moment you were born and you're here, is that a real fair accountability for how long that you've been alive? Because while you're asleep, this life here isn't really happening in the same context, right? So I'm 37 years old, and I don't say this in a bragging way at all. I don't really sleep a lot. Okay, so where everyone else that's my age is sleeping 7 to 8 hours, most of my life I've only slept 3 to 4 hours a day, maybe 5 to 6 at most. So that amount of time over years has built on to months, almost years that I've been awake longer than other people. So how would that not make me older than them? Right? At the same time, you can still have kids that are even younger than me that have had more experiences, more knowledge, more things that have happened. How does that determine their age just by the amount of years? Like, we have this thing where we have a judgment immediately when we look at someone, when we see someone, and immediately measure them up, right? So you never know that there's 13-year-old super science geniuses out there because you look at them and think they're kids. And so you acknowledge that they're human, but not at the full respect as you would someone that looks like they're your elder who might know absolutely nothing at all because they grew up out in the middle of nowhere their entire lives. So I'm not saying that these things aren't relevant, but what makes up a person isn't even your age, right? It's not that. It's this inner spark that we have, right? This is what we have. And if you're lucky enough to really discover this, your spark is contagious, right? There's an old Zen saying, and there's even pictures of it where a candle can light another candle without losing any energy, right? So you want to get to where your spark is that way to ignite you people, to ignite your friends, your family, to just be passionate about life. And like, man, how do we, man, it's exciting. It's how life is supposed to be. So back to this KRS-One thing, right? And hopefully you guys are with me. What he was saying is when you get into your car, right? You get in your car, it then drives and you can move it and decide where you want it to go, right? But you are not the car. You're in your car. And because you use it as a possessive, it's not yours. It's not who you are, right? So now here's the thing. When you go to the gym and you're working out, what is it that you're working out, right? When you get dressed in the morning, what is it that you're getting dressed? It's your body. So if it's your body that you use in a possessive, that also cannot be you. It can't. It's impossible. It cannot be you. So you, as people, as human beings, we are not this construct, fleshy, physical thing that we have. Do you understand what I'm saying? What I'm saying is this inner spark, this under our soul, our spirit, whatever it is that you want to call it, our God form, our divine being, our pure essence, what it is, that is just in this meat suit. And this is the way that we get to experience this version. Right now, please, like, do your research, think on this, ask questions if you're with me in the chat, no problem. But this is the thing. You're going to have these experiences in this form. But if you lose any of your senses, then you still get to experience a version of it as this form still. So irregardless, whether you have every sense that you have now, you have none of them, your being is who you are. Now, I'm going to say something that might make some heads hurt, and that's okay. Ask if need be. But this is something I was talking about with a very good friend of mine the other day, and most of the people that know me know I'm a very big gamer, right? And one of the things that I realized while I was talking to him about this was I think the reason that the gaming community is so loving to each other and so accepting is because with that, you're based solely, strictly, only judged by your ability to do something. Okay, so there in that realm, especially with the new online stuff, you're being judged strictly by your actions and your personality, not so much with how you look, what you have, what you do, but it's more about what you're capable of doing. So your real self is what you're capable of doing. This is things that you've done, things that you've earned, right? So this is another, like, I don't know, I guess just pillar that we have in society that's confusing is the you that is you're an American or you're Australian or wherever you're born, that's who you are, right? So this nationalist thing has me really confused because it's not anything that you did to get here. Right? And most of your parents, unless they were immigrants, there's not anything that they did to get here. But those immigrants that came, they can be excited and say something for what they did. But people that were just born in a place and automatically think they're better than other people because they were born somewhere, you didn't do anything. So we have to get away from this idea of the ego, and we have to start embracing integrity so much more. And the problem with that is most people never get past the I in integrity. Like that's as far as they get, and then that kind of happens. And I only say this, and this wasn't even something I was going to talk about, but earlier today, I was out shopping, picking up some food, and as I'm leaving, I see this gentleman lean out the door with a napkin, and he looks like really hard all around. He's driving in his truck, getting ready to pull out, and he looks and sees no one seeing, and so he just drops it like very hardcore, just I don't need this thing. And right at the moment he let go, he saw me make eye contact, and I couldn't not shake my head a little bit. So I did, and the guy gave me the finger. And I'm sitting here going, how is this something that's my fault? Like, you know what just happened. But this is the way that we handle things. And we're getting into this place now, like I was, Generation X, right? And all these generations have different rules and what's okay and what's not okay to say and do. And I just remember that manners were just like a regular thing. And now that's taken as a sign of weakness. If you're nice, people want to walk over you because when you're doing this nice thing and no one else is doing it, it makes you kind of uncomfortable. and you can't be you. You don't even want to be you. So there's a lot of people, I know myself included, that don't like to leave and go do things as much as they should, just because being as genuine as you can be is not the acceptable thing, right? They want you to fall into the version that's not you, right? Get the 9 to 5. And this is another thing. Please, somebody, please, thank you, Jen. Thank you, Joe. Break this down to me, because this is why I had to start doing Mistech and get away from things. Authenticity is so appealing, and it's one of the things that when you find it, you almost start stalking the people because you never come across it often enough, and then you don't want to lose it, and it's good though. But this is another one of these pillars in the society thing that also doesn't make sense. You get this 9 to 5 job to pay for a place to live that you need the job to afford, but you're never there because you're always at work, and then you need a car to get, like, all of it makes absolutely no sense, right? You just, how does this become something that you trade in your dreams and trade in the ideas and the fun and the excitement? And I mean, life is crazy right now, so we all have to do what we have to do. But what I'm talking about is when you really get down to the core of who you really are, you will be able to find a way to make a living in this world right now without it feeling like a job. Wouldn't that be like great? And I've got friends like that I can testify for, that I've seen them, and some of them are going to come on the show, that I saw them doing this 9 to 5, and something happened within them, and now they're becoming a director, like very well known in their area. Photography, insane, great. Like you'll see these guys. Right? His guy's name is Martez Cornelius. Amazing guy. If you guys are in my Facebook, follow him, see his work. So inspiring, and happened just like that, guys. This is the thing. There's never going to be a time where you're going to find any person, any book, any video, any movie, anything that's really going to change the way that you behave on a day-to-day basis. Nothing. That'll never, ever happen. What will happen is you'll get fed up enough times that you'll hear someone else talk about being excited about something, that you'll just decide that today's that day, today's when it's going to happen. But there's not going to be someone that's going to push you into it on accident. It's got to be something that you want to do, and it's terrifying, right? I can tell you, being an entrepreneur, getting away from business, getting away from family, getting away from friends, just doing what you need to do for you is one of the most difficult things ever, and that's why there's so many miserable people that are out there right now, because they can't be who they need to be. So I've got another friend, right, that started a baking company and started very nervous, still up and down. Ariel, hey, if I see you. And food is amazing, right? She showed up at an event that we had, and everyone went completely crazy. And it's up and down. It's a scary thing, but it's a roller coaster ride. So it's a fun scary the entire time. And to me, that just sounds like so much better than a slow death. Like, why does this happen? Because all you're doing is just trading your time for money to try to buy your time back. And when do we get the opportunity to do that? Like, really, when do we have the time to do that? Once we're at a certain age, we can't go out and go do the adventures that we want to do. We can travel, but we can't do all the things that we want to do at the time. So we're just constantly doing this, where they say robbing Peter to pay Paul, over and over and over. And then by the time that you think you're ready, there's no time to do it. So I'm trying to urge you guys, do it. Like, just do it now. Travel. This is another thing. If you've never been out of the country or spoken with people out of the country, I urge you, I implore you, find someone online, become friends with someone, and find these other perspectives about the country that you're from, right? Whether it's America, whether it's somewhere else, because you'll be very surprised to find out that most people from other places in the world do not think that your country is the way that you think it. And our media has a big thing that has to do with that. But that's the thing for another time. But just, you will find more authentic people online than you will in person, because behind the face and the makeup and all these other things, that persona is there. Online, everyone is not scared to be themselves, because what are you going to do? We can't go through the screen, and not yet. So, while you can do it, you might as well. Getting back to this, who you are, right? At a scientific level, if you want, right? This is another thing. I'll post a link for you guys. I actually pulled up the full body mass chart just to kind of go over this with you guys so you can understand this as well. The main mineral content and elements that are required to make up the human body, right? This is crazy. So this is based off of a 154-pound person. You can find this on thought.com. Reference Anne Marie Helmstein. She's a PhD, and she did this, I think, like a month or two ago. But this is again on average. Okay, so keep this in mind, right? And do some math if you want. But it's 61% oxygen is in the human body, 23% carbon, 10% hydrogen, 2.5% nitrogen, 1.4% calcium, phosphorus, potassium, sulfur, sodium, chlorine, magnesium. Those are all ones that have a percentile. And then there's close to like 20 plus trace mineral things, guys. And look, if you can see the screen, fantastic. If not, again, I'll post it. But look, what I'm trying to tell you is if we had all of these minerals and all of these elements just sitting in a pile, right, that would not be a human, right? All these elements put together, it wouldn't. If you somehow could magically wave a wand and turn all of these minerals and elements into the form of a human, it still would not have that human. It still wouldn't have that spark that's there. So we know that this as well is not at all you. This is just what you get to occupy, right? Now, so what's left after we strip all this stuff away, right, is energy and light and lightning, right? This is energy. This is life. This is where it comes from. So whether you believe it or not, at the end of the day, and again, this is just my opinion, you are a pure being of energy and light, and that's what you are. And that is being plugged in to allow you to do these things. Now, to simplify that entire idea, you guys ever watch any type of medical movies or TV shows? When someone starts to die, what do they hit them with? They hit them with volts of electricity to bring back that energetic spark. They don't bring back water. They don't bring back a bunch of mud. They don't put anything into them but electricity, and that's what brings that back. So that all by itself at a base level should give you a much stronger understanding of what that means to be you. Okay, because that's exciting, that energy that you're supposed to have. Guys, there's so many things that are out in the world right now that are based off of the world of metaphysics and energy. And if you even want to use the word magic, which is just science we haven't figured out yet, it's all the same stuff. These things are out there hidden in exact plain sight that people just walk by, pass by, and have no idea and don't realize it. So real simple one, right? Play on words, but it's that simple. Electricity, right? Which is funny because electricity is not even acknowledged by physics. You guys should look that up. It's really interesting. Electricity is not an actual term in the physical world. They use measurements of electrical current, but electricity is something that is one of these words that we think we know what we're talking about, but it doesn't really mean anything once it gets down to a scientific thing, which is, again, it's misdirection. But anyways, so electricity, energy, gets measured in amps and in ohms, okay? Now, if you guys can see the background behind me, you know, what are the symbols aside from Ganesh here? All these little symbols are called ohm. So it's weird that our electricity, our energy, gets measured in ohms, and the sound that they say that was made when the world was created, the sound of perfection, the sound of growth, of pure energy, pure love, is ohm. You don't think that that's like an interesting? Yeah, absolutely, Joe. Yeah. I'm not gonna do it this time because that's a little bit more physics. But yeah, he was asking if we're gonna talk on protons, neutrons, and electrons, and the fact that they're all in sixes. And the sixes is something we are going to talk about tonight. The divine numbers 3, 6, and 9. Tesla talked about. So yeah, we'll definitely get into that, Joe. Thank you, man. But so that's the thing, guys. Think about that. When you're meditating and you're supposed to find the one true sound to try to align yourself with, it's ohm. And the same way that we measure electrical currents is in ohms. So the fact that you could be anything other than an electrical being makes absolutely no sense. This is who you are. It's what you are. It's not about where you're born. It's not about the race thing. It's not this. You know, if you took your exactly spark current, yeah, exactly. That this is what it is. You know, this is one thing I will say though. So once you get past your electrical form, okay, once you get past this energy being that you are, and now we're in the 3D and we're in this plane. Again, your nation, your country, wherever you were born, that's still not you, right? The race that you become, that's still not really you. The only thing aside from your spark that really truly shapes you is your environment. So this is the thing. Electricity, energy, can take all sorts of different forms, and it can even change from one form into another depending on the circumstances and the catalyst and just a lot of different things. It can change forms. So the same way that you coming into this world as an energetic being, depending on your environment, you will change forms. Okay, and this is what I mean. Look it up. There was a girl in the Ukraine. I apologize. I honestly can't tell you what year it was, but her name was Oksana Malaya, I believe. And her parents were alcoholics and basically abandoned this girl. And she was essentially raised by wild dogs, right? I don't know if you guys heard the story or not, but look it up. It's Oksana Malaya for sure, out of the Ukraine. And I think they found her around the age of 8.5, and she did not know that she was a human being. They found her walking on all fours. She was barking. She behaved exactly like a dog. Now, that wasn't anything that she did. That is the environment that she came up in, and that's what she became. And it took years and years. I think what I was reading, after even 2 years, she was still having a hard time even standing upright, couldn't form words. This is all environmental. Okay, so your genetics, again, they play a key, but even that, unless it's some type of disease, this is another thing. Your genetics really aren't what's going to be the determining factor. It's going to be your environment. I tell this as a joke, but this is a really good way if you want to have people listen to you. They say be funny, So I don't know how funny it is, but there's this thing where they say genetics. I'm overweight because it runs in my family, and based off of what we're talking about right now, it being your environment. It's not that obesity runs in your family. It's that nobody runs in your family. Because you could take a child that was born with those genetics and put it into a house of personal trainers, and that child will not grow up with that. It just won't happen. There's studies on it. Look it up. So your environment determines who you are more than your genetics do. So check this out. Yeah, it's true. It's weird, but this is the way it works. So check this out. This is another thing. So your environment is going to determine who you are. Now, this is a really cool thing. So anyone that's stuck somewhere in life right now, someone's lost, they're confused, they're, anything that is out of place. And really, I promise, anything, apply this and watch how quickly it changes. Because the fact at the end of the day, this electrical current being that we're God. We have that divinity in us. And I don't care what religion that you follow, don't follow, every single book has a version of we have that power within us. So a lot of them have the vodka god, and I'll get into that later, but a little bit of the truth and a whole lot of other stuff for control, and we just believe whatever it is. But at the end of the day, be good to one another, and you're God. That's at the end of every religion, essentially what you'll get. So because we can create this reality that we're in, that's based off of what we speak, what we think, and what we write down, right? You go to any motivational speaker, they'll tell you to write down your goals. This is you manifesting your destiny. Speak it out loud. This is you creating that destiny. Your vibration, your frequency, your tone, your thought, your brain waves themselves will literally mold your reality, right? And if you don't believe it, then you're going to be absolutely right. I promise. If you don't believe it, you'll be right. But if you want to believe that it's very real, watch how quickly these things become real. It's the buying a car effect. Once you buy a car, you start seeing it everywhere. And you think, man, everyone does have this car. No, it's that you're excited about your car, and that thought is creating them all around you, so you see it more often. Okay? So one of my cousins played basketball, amazing guy. His name's Dean. Okay, this is when I say you can shape your reality and your environment will determine your reality. This is what I mean. He was a phenomenal basketball player, one of the nicest, amazing guy. So his way of teaching me when I was trying to learn how to dunk a basketball was so weird and so off. And I think I only did it maybe 4 times, and after that I threw the towel in. But basically, when you go to dunk a basketball, right, the reality of it, of what you're trying to accomplish, is getting up to the rim, right? That's where you're at. That's your limit. In your mind, you see that as the goal line. That's where it is. And because of that, your brain makes your physical body think that that is the limit, that is the spot. So after him seeing me do this for months, years, I don't even know how long, while he's probably laughing on the inside, it's okay, it's good. He comes up to me and he goes, Bo, hey man, why don't you aim about 6 to 8 inches higher than the rim, and then try to dunk it. And I gave him this very puzzled look because it didn't make sense to me how he said it. And he goes, trust me, just aim, like just envision that the line's up there and just aim for that instead. And so I kind of laughed, but you know, my big cousin, he's amazing. So I run over and do it, bam, dunked the basketball for the first time in my life and went completely insane. And it wasn't until years later that I realized that my shift of believing what my limit was literally changed the shift of what my limit was. And you start applying that to everything else, and again, it will change. You know, the Henry Ford, you know, if you guys are watching me and you're my friend, I hope that you've seen posts, and I hope you look into this stuff. But, you know, Henry Ford, he's got, you know, one of the most common memes you'll see out there. If you believe you can, you're right. If you believe you can't, you're right. So that guys, every single person that's out there that's been an amazing inventor, an amazing creator, had a very good impact on humanity, has all pushed the limits of what's supposed to be real and what's not. So now we've gone through metalworking to steam to electronics to now virtual to 3D printing to why isn't our energetic beings themselves the next step? Like, where else would it go next? So there's a huge movement right now all around the world, and people are becoming more awake, and they're becoming more aware, and they're sharing this information, and it's growing, and it's getting exciting, and people are getting upset about it. And guys, you have to think about this. How weird is it that people get upset about other people being happy, right? That's a weird thing. So what I urge you to do is to go out and be overly happy all the time, because what will happen is it's one of those things where we, as human beings, we can't help but to love each other to a degree. Even if we don't like somebody, there's still that connectivity that's still there, right? So anyone that's in a relationship out there, understand what I'm saying. We've all had that loved one, or multiple times that this happens, where you're so angry that you just start laughing hysterically for no reason, because you're that mad. You can't believe you're that mad, like, and then next thing you know, it's funny, and it's a strong emotion, and it's a very fast shift. And it's that love that makes that shift happen. And so when you're being overly happy and these people are getting upset, Kyle, what's up, baby? Hey, good to see you, man. It's one of those things that eventually it's going to push them out of that anger into a happier place. And you want to be this inspiration, and you want to be that push. And you don't have to go crazy and do it everywhere you go. But the moment that you realize that you're this energy, you're this being, right? Check this out. Watch this, guys. When you're thinking of energy, right? If you look at a battery, right? What are the two things on the opposite ends? It's a positive and a negative. Isn't it weird that when someone's being happy or upset, we call them positive or negative? Again, is because we're these energetic beings. So now think about where you're at right now, and think about your day-to-day. When you're going out into the world, are you the negative side that's sucking away everyone else's positivity? No pun intended, unless you're laughing, and then, you know. Or are you this positivity that is out there making all this light for other people? Think about it in those terms. Just get down to just simple math, just base physics. It's really, really easy. So when you get to this idea of I can do this and I will, the moment that happens, there's this shift, right? And how do I explain this? So when the shift happens, it's not that anything changes really in you. It's just the weight, the misdirection, the confusion, the worry, the stress. Can you imagine not being stressed? Hey, so thank you, Kyle. Thank you. I'm wearing a Powerline shirt. He was my hero growing up, and I thought it would be a great shirt that was appropriate to talk about while we're talking about being energy. So thank you, Kyle. But so once the stress is gone, if you can really imagine that you just don't have stress, you don't get tired because your energy is consistently going all the time. Another thing, I'll post this also, guys. Another new study. When I say energy that keeps burning, there's a scientist. I can't remember his name. He just had a new breakthrough about that we lose approximately 7% of our physical form of who we are every single day, from breathing, from sweating, from our waste, and so on. And that's being replaced every single day. So the air that you're breathing out today technically could be a flower in what do you say, Germany tomorrow because of how quickly wind and everything moves. So we're so all interconnected. These are things, again, that we just have to be able to keep in mind, and it will change the way that you interact with things. Okay, and that's the thing. If you can change the way that you interact, your results going to be different, right? That you have to do that. So, okay. So as this electric being, okay, when you're this current, the thing you have to keep in mind is energy needs conductivity, right? You guys realize that. So you need a ground, okay? How many people that are listening right now have heard that grounding is good for you? I'm sure even if you don't believe it, you've had to at least heard it somewhere. Someone had to tell you. Well, what's weird about that is electricity, energy needs to have a ground. So this is another thing that just makes sense. Now, this is another really interesting thing. You ever notice people that eat like processed food, preservatives, all these things? And don't get me wrong, guys, I'm just as guilty as everybody else. I still do it. I'm working on it. Improve every day. Do what you can. But you put these things in, and let's say it's something that has a little bit of plastic in it. Like margarine's really close to plastic. Well, can electricity flow through plastic? No, it can't. Not that I know of. Can it flow through all sorts of other? Can it flow through a Twinkie? It'll fry it. But the point I'm making here, guys, is as these energetic beings, the term "you are what you eat" is very true, right? And watch the video again. I'll put a link and everything. But if you really are what you eat and you are an energetic being, can you imagine having all the conductivity possible in your body and feel about how much better you're going to feel? That's not even something that we even talk about. We look at it as you have better blood flow and your circulation is improving and your body temperature is better regulated. Guys, this is the thing. One of the things that were on the human composition list that I said was in a trace amount is magnesium. Okay, now, and unless you were a crazy science nerd, you've probably never seen a strip of magnesium. But if you set this thing on fire, you're not even supposed to look directly at it because it burns so bright. It is insane how bright it is. Like you put the welding goggles on and it's insane. But the fact of the matter is you need to have that inside your human body. And if you don't have some magnesium, you start getting fluctuation in your temperature. You start getting nauseous. And this is a conductible burning material that the body requires for your energetic form to be able to sink in with that the best way possible, right? When Thomas Edison was making the light bulb, he went through filament after filament after filament until he finally found the right one that would work the best without burning out and getting destroyed right away. So imagine that your body is this filament. That's what it is. It's the filament for your energetic being that you really are. So the more conductivity that it has at the etheroenergetic form, not necessarily just for electricity. And we'll get into that maybe later today, but for sure we'll get into it. So the more that this form has, then the better that your energy is going to connect with it, and the abilities of in the metaphysical nature, if you want to say the superpowers, how much easier it is at your fingertips because all of the conduction is there for what you're trying to accomplish. So what you eat has just as much important an effect on you as what you think. And if you don't think about it that way, then you're not using your food to the proper tool that you should. Like, this is a huge thing, guys. Yeah, thank you, Kyle. You can plug a clock into a lemon and it'll work. And hey, man, right, Kyle? So, guys, Kyle is, he's like a second version of me, or I'm a second version of him, but we're always in tune. And so over here, I've got my little list of all the things to go over. And right after this conductivity, the very next word says key lime. As Kyle writes, you can plug a clock into a lemon. So this is another thing, guys. When we're talking about food and diet, always right on time. Thank you for that, man. This is another, and again, you guys have to see this video. If you don't watch any of the other ones, I promise it'll freak you out in all sorts of good ways. There's a gentleman that has one of the machines very similar to how you can plug a clock into a lemon. Okay, and we're still talking about conductivity and being an energy being. But this is so key, and I promise, try it for a week. When I'm done explaining, try it for a week, and then tell me how you feel. It's crazy because I do it. It's great. So he has one of these machines that you can plug into like a lemon or a potato and make a light bulb illuminate very brightly. Now he takes and shows that the juice of a key lime, okay, not a regular lime, but a key lime, has enough energy in it that it will completely light up the light bulb. And so he takes some key lime juice, puts it in over top of the little reader of the diodes, and then all of a sudden it gets brighter. And the more key lime juice he adds, the brighter it gets until it's very, 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 very bright. And he takes that and says, you should take 2 to 3 key limes a day and juice them, because this will help the conductivity of your brain and of your body. However, after that, he takes a couple spoons of sugar, right? And I think they're teaspoons. And as he puts the sugar into the key lime, slowly you see the current get diffused and the bulb gets dimmer and dimmer with each bit of sugar that he adds. Okay, so think about how much food that you eat, because I again, same thing, I'm guilty, working on it. How much sugar you put into your body every single day, right? So if that's with enough juice, pun intended, to light that bulb, and it's very little, very, very little, but it's enough to light that bulb, and even a smaller amount of sugar is enough to stop that current. With all the sugar that we're putting into our bodies every single day, especially if you're in America, there's sugar in everything. Imagine again what this is doing to your brain, what it's doing to your body, what it's doing to your health. It will literally eat you from the inside out, and it's very difficult to get away from, but it's possible. You just have to be very diligent and make a couple extra trips. And earlier, guys, I'd mentioned that, you know, the people that run the world behind the world have these things hidden in plain sight. So this is the thing. If you decide to go vegan, and I urge you to try it for a week, right? Whether it's for the animals, it's to shut everybody else up, just do it so you can see how you feel. And if that alone by itself isn't enough, then, you know, you're never going to make the change, but you will feel your body thanking you every single day. But here's what happens. If you're in the program, as we say, where you have your 9 to 5 and you have all these things, it's very difficult to eat vegan, because there's not really a lot of places, at least again in America, there's not a lot of places that make it that convenient. It's very difficult to get it. Fast foods everywhere, right? Even at some grocery stores, it's difficult to find produce. It's just, and then once you get home, it takes more time. So again, the people that know all these things, control the world behind the world, they have everything very designed to where your day's so full, you don't have the ability to become vegan. Because as you become vegan, your brain will just work better. Your energy connections will work better. Your being will be better, which means there's less conflict. And how is that good for the bottom line? It's not. Everything that we have is based in that way. That's why we have our nationalism. That's why we have, you know, all the things. And guys, just think about this. Again, with earlier, you know, I had mentioned the gaming thing. We have a huge society of sports fans. Right? And I'm not saying that this is a bad thing, but this is the thing that, again, confuses me, because it comes to the nationalism, all these different things for the division. So imagine how many people go to the Super Bowl, watch the Super Bowl, have the Super Bowl parties, and are legitimately so upset that they get into fights with their significant other over a team that has no real bearing on anything at all, right? Nothing that you did. You offered nothing. They didn't even know you existed, nothing like that. But this is something that will deter your entire day, your entire weekend, some people their entire week. Now, this is the majority of the society in America, right? We have sports fans, and again, I'm not saying this is a bad thing, but I'm looking for a comparison here. Now you take the gaming community, and this is the thing, guys, the sports people are very, and all right, I play both, so it's okay. That's the popular thing, right? That's the thing to do. But if you have people that are working on their hand-eye coordination, working on their memory, working on their communication skills, working on team building, working on all these things through gaming, those are the people that are shunned and frowned upon. But they're doing something and are recognized for their ability to do something. So we have this ongoing thing that seems very popular in society, that if it's popular, that's what matters. But if it has an impact, it doesn't. And if you don't believe that, you know, you guys have all seen the Cash Me Outside girl. Everyone knows who that is. Zero impact on anything positive in any way, shape, or form. And then there's some girls in Africa that figured out how to convert urine into drinkable water, like completely purifying drinkable water. That's a huge thing for the world, and no recognition, no anything. You know, we're still in, if you guys don't believe time travel is a real thing, and you don't believe that time's an illusion, consider this for a second. Us as human beings If you go back to the Roman days, we had the gladiators fighting to distract us from what the politics were doing. And we got thrown food to come to these things, to be distracted. Well, now we have the exact opposite thing where we pay our entertainers millions of dollars to distract us from the same stuff, but we're voluntarily wanting to do that. So this is just this thing that we have where entitlement trumps everything else that we know right now, right? If you are just entitled because you feel so, or people think you are, then you get it. But we don't recognize the accomplishments of each other. We don't support each other the way that we should. So earlier I was talking about friends of mine that became entrepreneurs. I've bought stuff from them both multiple times. We do this other thing where we have friends and family members that go after their dreams. And I don't know if it's out of a spite or if it's out of the inferiority complex that we have or whatever it is, but it's very difficult for us a lot of the times to support these other people, because the moment that energy in them becomes very, very bright, we see the recognition of where ours maybe isn't. And because of that, we don't want to keep feeding into them a fear of us getting more dim. But it's the same thing, guys. If we pick each other up and support each other, it's always going to continue to come back to you. This is just, again, base alchemy. It's equivalent exchange. Whatever you put out into the universe, you will definitely get back. And the more that you do it for no reason, the more that you'll get this back as well. For one day, right? And we talked about this a little bit last week. I want to challenge every single one of you guys over this weekend, right? Holiday weekend, be overly polite, like in an almost obnoxious way, just for the weekend. Just try it. And if you don't see more people smiling genuinely, right? And I mean a genuine smile, not just with their face. You know the smile I'm talking about, right? Where you get the whole glow, right? Where you just know, like, wow, that's a human being. I know that's what it's supposed to look like. It's beautiful. Do that for one weekend. And if your overall mood, your overall health, your concentration, your focus, if that doesn't work, come back next Thursday and yell at me, please, in front of everyone, tell me. But when it does, come back and tell us about it. We would love to hear the story. My son, I've really pushed this on him about who you are and what to do and be overly polite, right? We went and ate at this little Elmer's Diner over here in Portland, and he had a woman in tears just because he held the door open for her, and she said she could not remember the last time that had happened. Now, while that was like an amazing feeling, at the exact same time, it was terrible. How is it that is such an impacting thing? Just holding the door open. Guys, I'm going to cut to a commercial break really quick, and then I'll be right back, and we're going to get back into grounding in the Schumann resonance and a couple other things about, who we are. Thank you, guys. Give me about 20 to 30 seconds. We'll be back.
Okay.
Thank you. All right, we're good.
Kevin, you want to run your commercial?
Yeah, let's go. Yeah, that sounds good.
It's not in the system yet, but I think I can run it from the email.
Okay. Guys, we're with me on video. We're just doing a radio break.
Okay.
Brought to you by Mistech. Welcome to the future. Go to mistech.net for the full story. But in the meantime, stop thinking about leveling up and just get to Mistech. People all around the world share their experience and love how they feel after putting it on. We offer a 30-day money-back guarantee, along with a lifetime warranty. WTF? What the frequency? Find out today at mistech.net.
Ready, you are.
You are listening to Alchemy 101 on the Artist First Radio Network. Back to your host, Halo Marquise.
Hey guys, thanks, Zach. So that was our new commercial, guys. I'm really excited for Mistech. If you guys are in the Portland area, just real quick, we are going to be reopening at the Saturday market this weekend. So please come down and say hi. We'll be doing a grand opening and all sorts of stuff. So man, that was awesome. Thank you. So this conductivity thing, guys, I'm very, very serious about this because think of your shoes. Okay, this is what we were talking about a second ago. with us being this energetic being. Most of the shoes that we wear have a plastic sole, right? So because of this, we don't get connected to the earth. So we get missed out on that conductivity. So I don't think that this is a coincidence. This, again, is one of these things that are set up in a way that we don't know about it, so we miss out on it, right? But if you have time this weekend, especially if you're in a place that's warm enough to do it, while you're with your friends and family, just convince everyone to take their socks and shoes off and just run around the grass like you kids for a little while, right? And just don't even think about it. But while you're doing that, what's going to be happening is you're going to be connecting with the ground, with the earth. And this energy is going to allow your energetic conduit to connect in that way. And you're going to feel energized. You're going to feel this weird current type thing. It's a difficult thing to explain until you feel it, but it's almost like a tingle. And the more that you focus on it, the more that you'll notice that it's there. And what's interesting is if you do it long enough, you'll start to feel that tingle that was in your feet all through your entire body. But it's like, someone that sees for the first time, it takes a little bit for you to be able to get everything all at one time. So practice it and feel it and start trying to do it at least once a day. And this connection that you're going to have will do another thing. It's going to help clear your mind in ways that you will not expect it to, right? Because when we go through our day-to-day, right, we all have our routine, right? Most of us, it's get up and take a shower, I hope. And then after that, you get dressed, you go to work, and then you come home and you eat along the way, and then you go to bed and and that's it. Well, these routines program us, all right? Because we're this electrical being, the electricity is us, but the body and the brain is the computer, right? And the way that you program it is by routine. These are the codes of your day-to-day that are going to determine your outcome. Right? So if you're like me and get up and talk crazy to yourself for 5 minutes in the mirror in the morning and give yourself affirmations and set a plan, then your day will go in ways that you can't even imagine, in so many spectacular, like just loving, amazing, beautiful moments, because that is the intention from the get-go. But if you're going out and just going right back into that exact same routine that you do every single day, where you're just waiting for whatever it is to be over to get to the next thing, right? We don't ever learn to just be here, right? This is what I mean. From the time you're born, you're told to get through school and then get through college and then find the one and then get married and then have 2.5 kids, get a house, and then retire. And there's never a time when it's, okay, you graduated high school, enjoy it. Oh, you got the promotion, enjoy it. We always go from one idea or one plan or one goal to the moment of accomplishment, we go to the next goal. We never just let ourselves appreciate the moment and give ourselves recognition for what it is that we've accomplished. Right? We don't really take the time to do that. And you don't have to do it in an egotistical, braggart way, but if you did something, and this has kind of been the theme all night, guys, if you did something, then recognize what you deserve, right? Don't recognize what you're entitled to, because you're not. You're not. And if you don't believe that, look at your state laws and find out how many people are entitled to collect their own rainwater. Like, you're not even supposed to do that. Lucky enough, we can all breathe and blink for now, but you don't have these freedoms. You're not entitled to these things. However, whatever you earn, you deserve, then recognize it, right? I think appreciation and recognition are the two most underused human emotions that we have. I've said that a million times, and I'll never stop saying it, but do that, because, guys, these words that we put out into the world, not just for ourselves, but to other people, this is the fertilizer. That's what it is. This is the fertilizer that's going to make someone grow, or it's the poison that's going to stunt that growth. Now, if you know anything about nature, almost every single plant grows symbiotically with each other, right? The roots help uplift each other. They help grow. They give stabilization, right? They even trade food. They communicate somehow. And because of that, they grow for hundreds of years, and they grow perfectly and beautifully and randomly. And this is because of the support that they have. And at the end of the day, and so I know some people aren't going to like this, and I would love to apologize. I just can't. At the end of the day, guys, we are just walking, talking plants. That's really what we are. Okay. Now, obviously, we have a little bit more consciousness. We have these other things, but what do we need to survive, right? We need nutrients. Well, how do we get those nutrients? From what we eat. Okay, well, where did the nutrients come from before we ate it, right? So if you eat meat, well, that animal ate a plant. So if you're vegan or vegetarian, where did that plant get it? That got it from the sun. So the sunlight comes into these plants, goes through photosynthesis. It creates all sorts of different energies, all sorts of vitamins, minerals, so on. And as it's consumed, these vitamins and minerals transfer into us. Okay. Now, as being conduits, and this is where we start getting to the fun stuff, guys. And I'll try to wrap it up, but it's going to be a lot. So write this down if you can. There's a thing called sun gazing. Okay, and please look this up. But man, it's so amazing. I don't even know where to start. Essentially, there's this gentleman that went a little over 20 years without eating food. And I mean any food. He only drank water. And what he said was, there's lots of people that sun gaze now. I've done it. It's amazing. And this is this walking, talking plant thing. Okay. So if you stand barefoot on ground, on grass, right? This is the idea that if you, during the first hour of the day and the last hour of the day, when the sun is first coming up and first going down, the sun is not in a position where it can damage your retina. Okay. Now, if you look it up, you'll see that they've done research with optometrists and all these different things, but this is very key, guys. And please don't just go out and do this and go crazy. Like, do the research first, but you do it in 10-second increments on how you build your tolerance every day. So if you guys want to try this sun gazing thing, tomorrow morning during the first hour of sun up, just stand barefoot, and I promise it won't hurt. You can look directly at the sun for less than 10 seconds. Right? And you won't even see dots or spots or anything afterwards. You will get a very weird sensation that you'll feel throughout your body. Right? In the exact same way that those plants are connected to the ground, the earth's energy, and then they're absorbing energy from the sunlight, they're creating a process that is creating these nutrients and vitamins that we get by consuming. But through sun gazing, and they even say that the Egyptian god Ra sun gaze, and that's why he was the sun god and why he supposedly had all of these super metaphysical powers, because without eating any of these other things and just getting the energy directly is completely pure, because again, we're just energy. So if you can refill that without having to consume a filtered version of the exact nutrients that you need, again, imagine what this is going to do for your inner being. But so with sun gazing, what you do is you start with 10 seconds, and every day you add another 10 seconds onto it. Okay, and you do this every day. And you just continue to do it, and you can still drink water and eat food and whatever you want, but the magic number is 43 minutes. And once you get to 43 minutes, supposedly you stop getting hungry. You can still eat if you want to, but your body will start creating these nutrients all on their own. Now again, if you decide you want to try it, do all your research. Please be diligent. Don't go out there and go crazy, but just try it a couple days just for the 10 seconds here and there. And it's one of those very weird things, like when you ground, because of the sunlight that's coming through, it is a completely different sensation. And you get it's almost like you had a Red Bull back when I took those. But it's a very interesting thing. And so doing all of these different things that we've talked about, recognizing that we're these beings, knowing that when you're going out, being this positive impacting thing, imagine what that's really doing for you as a whole, right? We're talking about the program and being in the program. If you get into a natural habit, a routine of being overly nice and doing random acts of kindness over and over and over, your day will be so filled and focused with love and joy that will be the only thing that you can experience. It's crazy, I promise you. Anyone that knows me, that's how I am all the time. They know I'm so happy. And it's not that I don't have life, guys. I still have bills. I still have struggles. I still have kids. I still have a wife that might kill me in my sleep someday. It's a joke. Just kidding, it's a joke. But, this is life. We have that. What I'm talking about is just coming to terms with the realities of what's real and what's not, and what's set to be there and what's not. I mean, you guys have to understand that now in 2018, that law and morality are not the same thing anymore. They're just not. In the same way that healers and doctors are not the same thing anymore. The same way that diet and healthy are not even the same thing anymore. We're getting back to having to be individualized and be on our own, but it's a great thing because it gives us the opportunity to grow and really embrace who we are. And then as a family, as a household, Even if you're just by yourself, you go and be a positive impact. But you have to do this with the people around you every day. And eventually it will inspire them. It will push them. That's why you watch Disney movies. That's why everyone still watches Disney movies. You love to see the happy ending. You want to see the magic and the glitter and, you know, all these things. And you say you don't, you watch Disney. Someone's going to watch Disney tonight that's watching this right now, right after this. And that's okay. I mean, these are things that we do habitually. We can't help it. I'm just saying, if you can on purpose be a positive force every single day, how could that possibly not be the vote? How could it not be the vote? How could it not be the decision, right? We talk about defaulting to something. So I'm saying default to, I'm going to go ahead and say it, embrace being a hippie. Like, what could possibly be worse than just wanting to love nature and love each other? This is a great thing, isn't it? And we can still do it while we build in our technology and we build and grow towards the stars and space and into inner earth. Like, as we're expanding, and guys, we don't know where we're going until we decide. We get to decide. So I'm just asking for getting more people on board to making decisions. Like, most people don't even want to decide where they eat. Wow, that's the thing. Like, I never want to decide where I want to eat. It's that bad. And if you ask a woman, I'm sorry, ladies, but use the magic trick. Just take it to the first place that she says, and that's the code. So, Kyle, I apologize. Joe, I apologize. We're not going to have all the time I wanted to get into all the numbers, but if you guys want to do some homework now for next week, I urge you look up the divine numbers 3, 6, and 9. This is a big thing in Tesla theory. And it's interesting because there's so many patterns that are in our day-to-day that are based off of these numbers that always come out to these numbers, right? You've got your stoplights. It's a pretty deep rabbit hole, but it's interesting because it just proves that there's a divine law to everything. So before I leave you guys, I'm going to give you guys one more little scientific nugget, I guess, that also kind of goes into showing this energy form and what we really are capable of. So if you're, you're woke, you're in this movement as it is, you've got your probably your crystals within 5 to 10 feet of you right now, right? And you have people that don't believe that these crystals do anything and they don't have any effect on anything. You guys should all know by now that there are watches out there that run on quartz, okay? Now, some people have a misconception that the quartz is what's powering this watch, and it's not. Quartz watches actually have a small battery that run a current through them. And check this out, guys. This is great because Tesla, he actually believed, and you can look it up. There's quotes all about it. But he believed that crystals were actually beings, that they were some type of life form that we did not know how to communicate with yet. But this was Tesla that believed this. So with that idea, I want you guys to just follow me on this with this watch thing. So inside a quartz clock, a battery sends a very small current through the quartz crystal, okay? Now, as the electricity runs through it, I got to double check, make sure I got it. So that's why I gave you guys the right number, but I thought it was very interesting. The quartz actually starts to oscillate. It vibrates back and forth at a very specific frequency, and it actually goes at 32,768 times per second. And that very fast little vibration, that's what makes your clock on your hand tick if you're using a quartz watch. Now, how is it possible that you can run an electrical current through the quartz if it didn't have some way of conducting energy? Okay, so that means that it is conducting something. And as we're discussing and talking about, if it can conduct, that means it has energy within it, right? And it can pass through it. So the fact that current can go through it and vibrate at such a precise number, because here's what's funny, guys, that 3, 6, and 9 I was talking about, in numerology, there's no such thing as double digits, right? So every number gets added into itself, okay? So if you take that 32,768, you add the 3 to the 2, which is a 5, and you follow that all the way down, it comes out to an 8, right? Which is not one of the divine numbers. However, what's funny about that is it's 32,768 times per second. So that second also has to get added onto the equation, and you now have your 9. So how is it that something as minute as telling time still has that divine number into it, right? So next week we're going to get into sacred geometry, divine code, things like that. But guys, this is something that is very right there that's in science. But in science, it says that minerals and crystals don't do anything. So when you're carrying these crystals on you, your energetic auric field, your ether field, is sending currents through your crystals that are then being amplified and oscillating, and your body is responding to that. So there's all sorts of reasons for why the crystals do what they do, but these are just things, guys. Thank you so much for being with me tonight. My name is Halo. So Alchemy 101. Man, the catchphrase, guys, this is the thing. Wherever you are, don't live the dream. Okay? Wake up. Be the vision. Love you guys. Be good humans. Have a good night.